Welcome to Watching the Throne.
A lyrical analysis of Kanye West.
My name's Chris Lambert.
And my name is Travis Bain. And today, we're celebrating the first day of the Jesus-themed Advent Calendar. Woo! Yeah! Who's ready? Who's ready to get down?
God.
This is how crazy it's going to be every episode, so get ready.
Oh, I'm so ready. So
Can you even believe this is happening? This is nuts.
No, it did come out of nowhere, though, right?
You mean the idea for this?
Everything. Just everything.
We did kind of just in a random text be like, should we do this? We're like, yep.
Yep. But then also just getting a new Kanye out. Like, we had no idea when there could potentially be music, and then Kim tweets a photo. Or Kanye tweeted a photo from Kim's account. It's still... Like, if you look at the photo, you see Kanye's, like, hand. It seems to be Kanye's hand and leg standing there, sitting at the desk. But it was Kim that tweeted it out. And it's the Jesus is King Tracklist and September 27th date.
Ooh, and so many emotions go through you in that moment because at first you're like, well, this is what I live for. This is manna from heaven. This is the entire reason our show exists. We have a season 10 now. Then you're immediately like, will it come out? Will I be devastated? Does this mean Yandi's gone forever? You go through a mix of emotions.
Yeah, right? Like, are we going to get Yandi'd again?
I mean, if you really want to listen to the leaks, you got that. But I'm just going to concentrate on this new, fully realized album.
That's right. That's right. So
yeah,
in this first episode, we wanted to do a what to expect or what we expect from Jesus is King.
Yeah, just like soundscape-wise, thematically, what we expect, what state Kanye's going to be in. Like, we have so many clues from the past year and a half that give a pretty good indication.
Though at the same time, because it is Kanye,
You just don't know.
you don't know. And that's the thing. Like, I keep going back and forth. Like, is this going to be the Sunday service Coachella performance Kanye? And that sound captured in an album format? Or is this going to be like Life of Pablo was supposed to be a gospel album,
Right?
and that was still very much Kanye. It's still like the traditional sounds of rap, house, and soul, but you're getting the samples of a preacher, a pastor. You're getting more biblical references throughout. But it's still very much like a 2000, like 21st century soundscape of pop music or like rap music rather than purely gospel music, the way Sunday service has been.
Right. Yeah, it's so tough with Kanye. Like, could you have ever guessed what Jesus would sound like? Like, everybody remembers the first seconds they hear on site. Like, no one knew that was coming. I don't care what expectations you ever have for a Kanye album. You're not ready for it, including this, because you could say that it's going to sound like Yandi, but knowing Kanye and how, upset he probably is about all the Yandi leaks, he's probably going to go and make something that sounds completely different.
Yeah. And what's that mean? I mean, and on the song or on the album is Water, right? Which is a song from Sunday service. And that could give an indication that it's fitting in with a potential soundscape around it, right?
But then, it also could not at all.
Yeah, that's the thing. And you're probably listening being like, so what are you actually telling us right now?
We're all just speculating.
Yeah, it's just wild speculation. But you look at Kanye's discography, and this does seem, I know there's some people that are like, if it is a gospel album, I'm not sure if that's what I want. But if you look back at Kanye's discography, it seems like this was inevitable. Like, he's just been building more and more towards something that was so overtly religious as this.
Yeah, I think if we're gonna get into what the sound of the record will be, to me it makes more sense to start of what the record represents. And you mentioned this on our RMA and how Kanye's last 4 albums, or is it last three albums have all had names in the title. We've gone from Jesus to The Life of Pablo to Ye. And all of those have like spiritual religious elements to them. Like Jesus is a play on Jesus, and then The Life of Pablo is supposed to be reflective of the story of Paul. And Ye is this communal you. And he's probably referencing the line from Psalm 82 where it says, "Ye are gods," and the idea that you can become a god if you carry out God's word and mission. And there's been a slow and steady, gradual buildup to his stripping of the ego. Like Yandhi was even supposed to have a song called Ego Death. And I think that's just the territory we're getting into. We've gone from something like Jesus, where it's kind of used ironically and like tongue in cheek, where like, yeah, I'm Jesus, to The Life of Pablo, where he's experiencing this journey where he's becoming more connected to God. And then Ye and Kitsy Ghost is finally like, I'm ready to give myself over to God. And Jesus King will be the culmination of that. The ego's gone. It's going to be open and free and loving. And he's just ready to bask in the glory of Jesus. Like, I feel like that will probably inform the sound of the record more than anything.
Yeah, and building with that in mind and that build that you just gave, you think about the song Water, and that feels very in line with that aesthetic, right? Like if you were ever going to point to a song and be like, well, this represents everything that we just said, Water would be that thing, like finding this way to give over to God and view things from that frame. Water's also very like socially driven as well. I don't think it's going to be purely, I can't imagine a Kanye album that's not trying to address his experiences.
Yeah.
And his journey. And that transition from 2018 dealing with mental health into 2019 and where he's at this point, it seems something that he's really going to want to reflect on, because his albums are always cathartic to his life experiences. That's as dramatically shown in 808s and Heartbreak as it is on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, where celebrity for him had legitimately twisted into this adrenaline-fueled nightmare that was full of highs and lows, right? And at that time, one of the iconic images is like Kanye with Amber Rose and like a Hennessy bottle. Like he was living this wild kind of existence, unsure of where to go. And as he's found more and more grounding through married life, that's kind of fallen out of his discography a bit more, as married life and stability have started to take over and he goes to address mental health. So I think lyric-wise, we're still going to get his life experiences and still going to get commentary on society, which Water does as well. Like, you need to take the, what is it, like the chlorine out of conversation.
Yeah, I think you're right. And you're making me think Yeezus was probably the last album he did that really meshed together the micro with the macro. I mean, he always does that, but I guess I mean from a societal, political standpoint. Like, Yeezus gets into so much politics and social issues very bluntly. And Kanye's attempt to, shift the zeitgeist and change people and create movements to where I do think that stuff is happening on The Life of Pablo and Ye and Kitsy Ghost to like a lesser degree. But those albums, when you really break it down to it, they're very personal, internal albums. They're all very much about his personal journey in the micro environment. And yes, the macro environment is having this effect on him and it's kind of warping things and changing him, but it's not like he's getting into racism or classism or corporation. Like those all kind of seem outside of it, as opposed to being a very crucial component of like New Slaves or Black Skinhead. So I could see Jesus is King really getting back into that realm, especially with Kanye taking more of a role in that arena, like becoming involved in politics, like meeting up with Trump. I know he's trying to remove himself from politics now, but I don't think that means he's done fighting for what he believes in and like these social movements. Like he played in Dayton, Ohio after the shootings and is raising money for the victims. Like he's still involved in that stuff. And I think more the area he's gravitated to is like, I'm gonna allow my art to play a role in this now. And I could see Jesus is King becoming very much more political and societal in that sense. And really taking this internal journey he's had from Jesus to Jesus as King, the loss of the ego, and now how that loss of ego plays in his role in changing society and changing things with his art, with his music, and just whatever ideas he's pushing out with Jesus as King.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait. Like Blood on the Leaves with a whole album.
And to that end, like, he has, if you look at the photo in the upper right corner, it looks like there was maybe an original track list that's now been discarded for the more formal one that takes center stage in the photo. You can see some of the similar names: Sweet Jesus, Wake the Dead, Clade, Baptized. But one of the names that didn't make the final list was called Breastplate of Righteousness, which isn't just a epic loot item from World of Warcraft, but a biblical reference, shout out to World of Warcraft players, biblical reference to the idea of putting yourself in the armor of God and able to, through God's word and through being a vehicle for God, stand up to injustices in society and in the world. And that feels very in line with Kanye's attempts in 2018 and maybe where he's at in the face of cancel culture, that he was receiving so much criticism that now he's kind of armoring himself in the breastplate of righteousness, getting back to his religious roots and kind of reframing things from that as a means of combating kind of the tide of hate and criticism that he faces whenever he comments on anything. So I do think there might be, that kind of lines up with the social implications.
Yeah. And just like his role in the social like in society and everything he's done. You also see in that photo, we could dissect this whole fucking photo for years, but Psalm 57 is sitting there, and that whole psalm is about being forgiven by God and God showing mercy on you for mistakes you've made and making up for those sins. Like that all seems to be playing into this too.
I don't know anything about Psalm 57.
I was reading
the Bible.
Yeah. Well, I haven't memorized them, but I was reading it before the show. Should I read it?
Yeah, please.
Be merciful to me, O God, be merciful to me. For in you my soul takes refuge. The shadow of your wings I will take refuge, till the storms of destruction pass by. I cry out to God Most High, to God who fulfills his purpose for me. He will send from heavens and save me. He will put to shame him who tramples on me. God will send out his steadfast love and faithfulness. My soul is in the midst of lions. I lie down amid fiery beasts. The children of man, whose teeth are spears and arrows, whose tongues are sharp swords. This really seems to be getting into people tearing down Kanye too.
Yeah.
Be exalted, O God, above the heavens. Let your glory be over the earth. They set a net for my steps. My soul was bowed down. They dug a pit in my way, but they have fallen into themselves. My heart is steadfast, O God. My heart is steadfast. I will sing and make melody. Awake, my glory. Awake, O harp and lyre. I will awake the dawn. I will awake the dawn. My God.
That's pretty spectacular.
I will give thanks to you, O Lord, among the peoples. I will sing praises to you among the nations. For your steadfast love is great to the heavens, your faithfulness to the clouds. Be exalted, O God, above the heavens. Let your glory be all over the earth.
Can you read the storm line again real fast?
Yeah, where is it? Sorry, part of the reason I don't have my glasses on and the computer's like kind of far away But hold on, let me.
It's near the
All
top,
right,
I think.
it's the very beginning. I'll just read the first few lines again. Be merciful to me, O God. Be merciful to me, for you and my soul takes refuge. In the shadow of your wings, I will take refuge till the storms of destruction pass by.
Okay. Because the refrain of water, I keep going back to water. I'm obsessed with water. Is it's water, we are water, purest water, like a newborn daughter. The storm may come, but we'll get through it because of your love.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I more than before though, I'm picking up on just the turmoil you have, like living, and all the people that try to tear you down, and all the people that try to guide you in the wrong direction, and how you just have to persevere.
Yep. Which gets back to the breastplate of righteousness. And we have this yellow sheet of paper that Kanye had put some notes on. And he has at the top of it, slaying the demons, changing opinions, which right there, changing opinions, gets into public image, what people are saying about you, winning them over towards you, or changing just their views in general. It gets back at the societal relationship. And then defend all who calls on, which is then rewritten and circled. He will defend and keep safe all who call on his name. It kind of lines up with what you're saying as well, or from that Psalm 57, just this idea of being defended, being kept safe when you return to God. And there are a few last things written at the bottom of the page that seem almost kind of like a word cloud mood board. You have kingdom, strength, lion, glory, fire, reigning. I can't make it out.
Riesling?
Protected. Riesling?
Yeah, the wine.
Riesling's my favorite white wine. Sometimes you got to get white girl wasted.
I like Riesling.
It's nice and sweet.
Oh, yeah. That's how you know someone isn't in the wine.
Protected, defiant, and then against fear.
Oh,
Defiant
yeah,
against fear.
Yeah.
We know coming out of 2016 into 2017, Kanye started to feel fearful and started to feel small because of it. And that he actually went to Tony Robbins, and Tony Robbins had him kind of use shout therapy of just yelling out loud in front of people to feel re-empowered, to stop feeling small, to gain back your sense of space and your sense of voice. And that a lot of what he was doing in 2018 was doing it because he didn't want to feel afraid to do it. Like, I'm afraid to put on the hat. I need to put on the hat. Whatever fallout could come of it, I just need to be me. That was a huge theme from 2018.
Wow. Yeah. And one other thing, I know Psalm 57 is pulled up in the Bible laid out, but in particular, it says in the top right corner of Psalm 57, verse 6. And that verse 6, is it verse? Is that the way with how they're...
We're learning so much about the Bible just from being Kanye fans.
It's a line. I don't know. Line 6. They set a net for my steps. My soul was bowed down. They dug a pit in my way, but they have fallen into themselves. That to me is kind of... Again, I don't know if Kanye meant to show this particular line, like call it out, but that to me sounds like Kanye. Like I always forget the line from Jesus. What they want, but what they need. What is it?
Oh, he'll give us what we want. It may not be or he'll give us what we need. It may not be what we want.
Doesn't it sound like that? Like people who have lost their way, like that's his whole mission at the beginning of Jesus, is to start this revolution and get people on the right track.
Yes, it does.
So I don't know. But again, like you think of this album being the loss of ego, the complete abandonment of ego, and just somebody who's surrendering himself over to God and taking less of a egotistical approach like he did on Jesus, where like I know better and I have to guide people, to this where like I've made a lot of mistakes and learned, and now I'm ready to show people like how I bettered myself so they can follow in my steps.
I think that's what we're going to get.
I love it.
Well, then, for Advent Calendar Day 2, not to spoil it, but
But let's spoil it.
We'll look more closely at the track list, song by song, and kind of go over what each track could be about and how they add up.
Look at Chris here being the professional one, cutting it off at the 20-minute mark.
You know, sometimes less is more.
I'm ready to keep talking, but okay, we can wait.
All right. Well, then, looking forward to seeing you again on Day 2. In the meantime, stay wavy.
Stay wavy and keep it loopy.